YouTube is a great source of information, but our time is limited. I've got hundreds of videos lined up for me to watch, but I just can't find the time to watch them all. So today we'll be creating our very own YouTube summarizer with the power of AI, and in particular, LangChain in less than 10 lines of code. So let's get into it. So before we can start, we need to install all the necessary libraries. So you need a couple of them: LangChain, TikToken, OpenAI, the YouTube Transcript API, and the Python.env library. Once those are installed, import all the necessary modules, which is a YouTube loader to get the transcripts, a token text splitter to split the text into smaller chunks, the chat OpenAI to create a large language model, and load summarize chain to actually summarize the transcripts, and last, a load.env function to load our environment variables. So let's actually start by loading the transcripts. To do this, you need to initialize it by calling YouTube loader with a URL. I'm using a video by IBM talking about large language models. And we can specify a language by using a list of languages you want to use. I'm not quite sure which ones are in here, so I'm doing English and US English. Once that's initialized, you can just load the transcript by calling loader.load. Actually, you need YouTube loader dot from YouTube URL. Let's see what it looks like. We just run our script, and this should return a transcript. It's a short video, so this looks good. So we can now continue with splitting the text into smaller chunks. Like I said, this one is quite small, so our model will be able to work with it directly. However, if you have longer transcripts, it's good to split them into smaller chunks, and we'll be using the token text splitter for this. A big advantage of the token text splitter is that it splits the text based on the amount of tokens instead of the amount of characters. And a token can be as small as a single character or as long as a full word. A nice rule of thumb is 100 tokens is approximately 75 words. So we've got our transcript. Now let's initialize our text splitter. So we'll say token text splitter with a chunk size 10,000 and a chunk overlap of 100. Once that's initialized, you can actually split the text by just calling splitter.split documents on our transcript. There's another method for this, which is called split text, if you just have raw text. But as you can see here, the text is stored in a document class. So this will look at the page content of the document class and use that to split it into smaller chunks. So let's see how many chunks we have. It should only be one, because it's quite small. Only one chunk. That's great. So that looks good. And now we can move on to the next step, which is actually summarizing the transcript. But before we can summarize it, we need to initialize our large language model. I'll be using the GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model. You can use any model you like. I just preferred this one because of its speed, quite low cost, and the 16,000 token input window. To initialize it, you'll need a OpenAI API key. If you don't have one already, check the link in the description. I wrote a small article on how to do this. And it's really easy. So once you have your API key, store it in an .env file, which should look something like this. Your OpenAI API key should be entered there, and change the file to .env. Now we can use the load.env function to load our environment variables, and we can initialize our large language model. We don't need to pass in the OpenAI API key because that's in the environment already. But what you do need to pass is the model name. It's GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K and the temperature. The temperature is just a parameter of the model which controls the randomness of the output. So a higher temperature will result in more random output, and a lower temperature will result in more predictable output. Play around with this, what works best for you, but try to keep it between 0 and 1. So now I've got the model set up. Now it's time to summarize the transcripts. LangChain offers a summarized chain which does exactly that. To use it, you need to call the load summarize chain function and pass the created large language model. So we'll call this summarize chain is equal to load summarize chain with our large language model. And we need to specify a chain type. There are 4 chain types. For this one, we are going to use the refine chain type, which is great for working with larger transcripts which have been split into smaller chunks. It takes the initial chunk, summarizes it, then it takes the next chunk plus the initial summary and refines that summary based on the new information. I'll add in one more argument, which is verbose, and this will show the process of the large language model in the terminal. So we've got everything set up, and now we can actually summarize it by just calling summarize chain.run on our chunks. And it should work. As you can see, here's the prompt it's using. So write a concise summary of the following, and it takes in the transcripts and puts out a concise summary, but I haven't shown it on screen. But this does only one operation, and I want to show you what the refine chain actually does. So I'll be decreasing the chunk size to 500. And let's also print the summary to the screen. So once again, it will now take the first chunk and summarize it. Finish the chain. And then it goes into the second operation. So your job is to produce a final summary. We have provided an existing summary up to a certain point, which is this. So that's the summary of the first chunk. And then we have the opportunity to refine the existing summary only if needed with some more context below. So this is the second chunk. Given the new context, refine the original summary. If the context isn't useful, return the original one. So it finished the chain. Then it goes into the next one, which looks like the last one as well. And then it's finished, and you've got your summary of the YouTube video right there. And that's it. You've now created your own YouTube summarizer in less than 10 lines of code. You can make this more advanced, of course, by using customized prompts, a user interface with Streamlit, or even load all the YouTube videos from a specific channel and create a question-answer bot. But that's for another video. For now, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and connect with me on Twitter. And if you want to get more tips on how to work with AI and LangChain, consider subscribing to the AI Unchained newsletter. Every Saturday, I drop into your inbox and share LangChain code snippets, AI project ideas, and I discuss the latest AI research. Thank you for watching.